Hey YouTube land, Tychonders there doing another action figure review. Now this is for another Masters of the Universe figures. Now before I proceed, I just need to say that these reviews are intended for collectors over the age of 13 years old, and if you're under that you need to get asked permission from a parent or guardian to watch videos. These are just to abide by the COPA rules and the FTTA rules. These video reviews are intended for collectors over the age of 13. So, without further ado, this is Duncan, aka Man-at-Arms, from the original old Masters of the Universe line, from way back in the 80s. This is the Origins figure, so it's the new 2020 figure. It comes in the same clamshell style box that all the other figures come in, which is basically a reproduction of the original figure line. He does come with the comic as well, the Beast Barrage comic. He comes with the unprinted one with no audio or no voice bubbles or speech bubbles, just like with Teela, Evil-Lyn. Who else do I have from that? Teela and Evil-Lyn. And the Skeletor I have actually does have the speech bubbles on his, on the comic that came with him, because he was an American release version. All the other ones I've gotten so far have been UK releases. Well, UK Europe releases. So that's the back of the card. You can see it shows all the figures from Wave 1, which is He-Man, Skeletor, Teela, Evil-Lyn, Beastman, and Man-at-Arms. The only two figures I'm still missing from this lineup is He-Man himself and Beastman. I have all the rest of this wave. And you can see it just shows him being, pose him in various poses and put his weapon into his hands. The other thing on the top of the box is you have a artwork of Man-at-Arms firing his built-in laser. That's part of his shoulder, or his wrist gauntlet. You can't really see that too much on the sculpting, but he does have that kind of shoulder guard. Now, difference between this one and the vintage, unfortunately I don't have the vintage one, is this arm piece was all one solid piece because the arms didn't have these elbow joint that the new figures have. And he also has the armor piece that clips over his leg. Now this armor piece and these two pieces, it's actually a double piece, are separate in the box, as is his mace. It's all hidden behind him in the box, so if you do get him and you're wondering where his gear is, it's actually just in behind him in the packaging. It should be all there. One thing I should note on my one is he seems to have a bit of a loose head compared to other figures. I'm not sure if that's just mine or if all of them are like this. And another thing that's interesting to note as well is he is slightly different compared to his original counterpart. Again, I don't have the original counterpart, but the very first early Man-at-Arms figures had no moustache, even though he had a moustache in the cartoon series. His action figure was designed, I think, before the cartoon series aired, so there was slight differences between some of the characters. As in, like, Teela has the snake armor, which she doesn't have in the cartoon series, stuff like that. But overall, he is the same articulation as pretty much all the other Masters of the Universe lines from this this era of figures. So he has a waist swivel. His waist is designed to pop apart. His arms are designed to pop apart. He has arm swivel. Now, you can do a full 360, but you have to kind of angle the arm out a slight bit just to get that extra bit of articulation. He has a single joint in the elbow and a joint or a swivel in the elbow. He has a swivel in the wrist, a single joint that goes in and out on the wrist. He has one grasp hand, which is his right hand. His left hand is kind of outstretched. It looks quite tiny compared to some of the other characters. I mean, Skeletor's one looks pretty big compared to him, which I will show in a little bit. He does have the splits. He can do splits that much. He can kick forward, not too bad. He can get into a sitting position. He does have the knee joint, so he can bend his knee. He has a bootcut swivel. He has a boot or an ankle joint with a swivel on it as well. So he has a rocker swivel on his ankles, and he has 2 peg holes on the bottom of his feet. His armor piece will move around the place when you're moving him, so just be wary of that. You'll probably have to pop it back into place. Same with the armor on his left arm. The armor piece on his chest is removable. It has 2 clips here and a clip here. I don't want to take it off on screen, but you can pop it off. Even if you just pop the arms off, because both arms are designed to pop out, you could pop arms off and unclip this and just slide it over, and his head is on a ball joint. As I said, my one seems to have a bit of a wobbly bobblehead kind of thing going on. It's not too noticeable except on certain areas. If you're kind of position it over to the left, it kind of gets a bit more loose than on the right, so I'm not sure what is up with that. And he comes with his mace weapon. It looks a little bit tiny. I'm not sure if his original one was that small. Again, not having the original figure to compare to, I'm not too sure, but I've always been kind of a Man-at-Arms fan. I did get the Classics version. Unfortunately, I don't have it with me to do a comparison of, but I will bring in my tape measure. So you can see he stands around the 5.5 inch high, which is what the old classic Masters of the Universe line would stand in at. And for comparisons, I'll bring in his daughter, Teela, with her serpent staff, shield, and serpent headdress. And the other good guy that I have is Adam. Unfortunately, I am missing He-Man himself, so I have He-Man in his alternate disguise as Prince Adam. And the other good guy that I have from this line is Man-E-Faces, which I'll bring in as well. And just pop him in behind. So I have a few of the good characters compared to the villains, but I will bring in some of the villains to showcase. But even if I get Man-E-Faces hand, you can see his hand is actually bigger, even though it's outstretched as well, just like Duncan's, or Man-at-Arms as he's known. It looks a bit tiny. I shall bring in some of the bad guys. So we've got Chopjaw, good old Skeletor. Just pop his Havoc stuff in his hand. So as I said, even if I compare Skeletor's hand to Duncan's hand, or Man-at-Arms hand, you can see Skeletor's one looks a lot bigger for some reason. So that is Skeletor and Man-at-Arms. And I have Evil-Lyn, who I will bring in as well. Now the female figures are a good bit smaller than the actual male figures, so there is a bit of a difference between them. If I just pull back my camera a bit. And the last figure I have is Scareglow, which I'll just see if I can squidge him in to the corner there. So I have a good few of the figures in this series. He does work quite well with some of the vehicles as well, so that's him with the figures that I have currently. So I just bring stuff out of the way. Bear with me a moment. Oop, oop, oop. So I will bring in some vehicles for him to test out. So for the first vehicle, it's the good old classic Battle Ram and Sky Sled. So if I just take his mace out of his hand, you can see he fits quite nicely into it. He can even get his hand to grasp onto the control stick, so he can sit quite nicely on the Battle Ram. If you have the modern version of the Sky Sled, move stuff out of the way. I know I usually have this Castle Grayskull as the backdrop for my reviews for the Masters of the Universe stuff, but unfortunately I wasn't able to grab it because where I'm doing my reviews, I've had a slight infestation of wasps and had to spray around the place, so I ended up inevitably spraying over the area where the Castle Grayskull is. So I didn't want to go over and grab it and get covered in bug spray. But there is the new version of the Sky Sled with Man-at-Arms. He fits just as nice. There is foot pegs on it, so you can actually put his feet into that. And he can hold control stick. As his other hand is an outstretched hand, he doesn't really hold it, but you can't have him resting on it. Moving that aside, I still have the Laser Bolt to hand. Another good guy vehicle. So he does fit onto that quite nicely. You can even look through the control panel part of it. And if you do the lay it down kind of thing where it's, I think it's in like speed mode or whatever you want to call it, he does fit that quite nicely as well. So he does fit the classic line of vehicles and stuff quite nicely indeed. And because he's the basic shape of the standard kind of Master of the Universe book, he will actually fit nearly every vehicle from the classic line, good guys and bad guys. Just for another example, even though I don't have the good version of it, I only have the bad version, which is Night Stalker, the bad version of the robotic horse. He should, in theory, just position his legs right, be able to slot into that. His armor might get in the way a teeny weeny bit. As you can see, his armor does pop out. It is intended to be removable, and it just clips in with little clips on the side. But he does, at a pinch, fit into the classic. If you have Stridor, I think it is that the good guy? I'm pretty sure that's the name of the good guy horse. If you have him, he will fit into it quite nicely. So there you go. Just be careful taking him back out with his leg plate. You could probably just take that off if you wanted to put him in vehicles like that, but he will fit into those sort of vehicles. So just get his mace back on. He's quite a good figure. As I said, my only complaint is that he seems to have a bit of a bobblehead, and that hand seems to be a bit tiny. It could be just mine. It could be just a mold issue with my one. This is something to watch out for, just in case. But overall, he's a really cool figure. So there you go, guys. I hope you enjoyed this quick video review of Man-at-Arms from the Masters of the Universe line. And as I say in my videos, please feel free to like, comment and subscribe to my channel. Cheers, guys.